Now, of course, being back, split 2 for the OPL, it is a time for celebration, but it is also a time for mourning. Because during the last 2 months, we have, of course, lost some players from our beloved league. And it is only appropriate, I thought, that we put aside the time appropriate to look back, to remember, celebrate these men that we have lost from the OPL. I turned it to Churchill there for a second. I didn't expect that one coming. So I thought that let's take this segment and perchance the next to look back at our beloved fallen brethren. Let's start off with a eulogy.
I'm crying.
Brother Jake.
Brother. All right.
Take it away, bud.
Yeah, cool. So,
He's actually crying.
dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to celebrate the career, the life of maybe the greatest 80 carry. I thought I was doing great here. FBI, of course, went to MSI last season and performed terrifically over there. I think one of the best people we've ever sent to an international event. Certainly showed that he can already tango with the big boys over in the NALCS. Rumors are that potentially even looking for starting roster time already. Bryce. And this is a guy that was incredibly loyal, was a fantastic teammate, was maybe the hardest worker I've ever seen, if not spending his time, whooping ass in solo queue, was certainly grinding the VODs and really putting in the efforts. And I didn't know, Nick, that peak performance was getting up every morning, eating a meat pie for breakfast, drinking Gatorade, and punching a smoke in between every single scrim set that he played. But,
If it works, it works.
potentially we need to reevaluate what peak performance actually looks like in League of Legends, because this guy certainly had it all. Was named best 80 carry before he came into the league, and I think certainly departs the league as the best 80 carry that we've ever seen. And obviously with a title. Just a little bit of a shame that he wasn't able to do so last year. Gave me 2 fourth place finishes. But apart from that, fantastic for FBI. Really, really great player and a good friend.
Yeah.
A good man. Do you have words for
Oh,
FBI?
I mean, last split on the Bombers looked out and out, just an amazing player. We've seen, on the competitive stage, absolutely can tackle with the big dogs. Even in solo queue, this guy got 9 million points in Korean solo queue when he last boot camped there. This is just a rising star. I think it has been rising for a bunch of years. Has spent a lot of time with Rogue, and I think this is going to be a different experience going over to the NA series, playing with a bunch of different guys, but... yeah, wish all the success for Victor Huang. And even though he would never talk to me without an earphone in.
I know.
He's always listening to music.
Totally. It's because he has tinnitus.
Oh, okay. So he's
right,
he's,
okay.
he's not an asshole.
Yeah. So what I was going to say is, on a serious note, I had the
This
pleasure
is complete.
of
What are you talking about? Look at our address. I'm completely serious.
I had the pleasure of working with Vic or FBI or whatever for a year, and genuinely was the best teammate, I think.
You loved him.
I really do love Vic, and credit to him as a person as well, because when he got the offer, he obviously told his whole team, which is the fantastic right thing to do. Also picked up the phone and called me, and gave me the good news as well. So is one of those people that keeps relationships throughout all his career, and I think really credit to him. I was reading his interview with Snowball.
Yeah.
He's over there already. He said that every single time he wins a game in solo queue, this just shows what kind of person he is. He feels like he's winning it for the whole of Australia and the whole of Oceania right now. And he's over there to really break the stigma that we're not good at playing League of Legends. And he's there to trailblaze for a next generation of players to be able to go over there. So, you have a look at people, potentially want to go overseas, like Tripoli's teammate, like Rose, like Tally. And he's saying that he is over there to kind of bridge burn the whole way for the region. I think really a testament to his character. And I don't think at the moment we could have sent a better representative over to North America to be able to do that.
If he was a real patriot, he'd change his name to Asia. Okay. The next fallen brother that we need to celebrate. Rusty, I believe you have some words for Vulcan.
Yes, I do. And, unfortunately, when I was told that I'm doing one for Vulcan, I know nothing about Vulcan. He doesn't really exist. He's like coleslaw at Christmas dinner. He's there and it's not bad, but that's all you really know. But what can you say about someone you don't know, right? He's here for one split. He was the rookie of the split, and he did split over to the TCL. He definitely has 10 fingers and looks like a human, but there's too many tattoos to see his skin, so we can't confirm he is human. I've never heard him speak. I've never been in the same room as him. Is he real? Is the question that we all have for Vulcan. And I'm upset. And it's not because of Vulcan, it's because I went to the hairdresser and she didn't put a side part in when I asked for it. I forgot. But at the end of the day, he is a good jungler, and we will miss him. And he was genuinely a very good person from the very limited interactions that everybody had with him at all.
I think my defining memory of Vulcan was that I never actually saw him in the building. And I only know him
Yeah,
through
none
the
of what I
pictures.
said was a lie. Like, he doesn't exist.
Vulcan can best be described
He's an
as-
enigma.
He's a mist.
Yeah.
Did you guys really never talk to him?
I did.
Okay.
I
You got
and I
anything you
definitely
wanna
I
add?
walked past him in the hallway.
I'm
Yeah,
not
a couple of
kidding.
times.
I never saw him in the building.
I thought he was
even
real
after
funny.
Bombers games when I walked past the whole team.
Okay, so let's bring it back a little bit. I did talk to Vulcan. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't say a lot, but like I would say I spoke to him weekly at least, which I thought was maybe not a good enough effort. Now I'm asking for other people on this team to lift. But was real funny with his interactions with Ryoma. I actually got along with his teammates really, really well. Was a little bit of a cheeky flamer to Ryoma as well every now and again. Was one of the few people that before scrims would pop off in lobby chat as well. So quite a funny character.
Yeah.
And I think we always talk about, when Mimic came over, top laners got better. And I genuinely think, Vulcan came over to the region and he's made the junglers better. He
Yeah.
was a freak show last split.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of teams have learned from that and gone and imported junglers for themselves.
Yeah.
And I can speak personally for people like Spooks that, playing against this guy, at least 3 hours a day, because we used to scrim bombers a lot, made him a much better player. So I think genuinely, did a lot for the region in his limited time here.
I also really respect the way that he came into the league and then just did his own thing, right? This is a guy with no competitive experience. Rookie split, of course, got rookie of the split, but he's like, I'm going to double scuttle you every game. I'm just going to take all your camps. I'm going to demolish the map early. And he's like, give me Camille and I'll do it. And that's exactly what happened
Evelyn,
from very
ban
early
Evelyn
on.
against me early on because I'm
Yeah.
going to take that whenever I can.
And it's like, he comes in and just like plays his style, plays it very well. Obviously, Bombers had a banger split and I think can't go out on a better note.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a lovely way to cement your legacy, to be like, you turn up for one split, completely dominate,
Yeah.
and then piss off.
Yeah, get out while the times are good.
Look at us, hanging around like dopes every broadcast. getting
Every
worse
time
and
I- He's
worse
dying a
and
superhero.
Worse. Yeah.
He didn't live long enough to become the villain. He's still a god.
I am very clearly the villain right
Yeah.
now. Like this has all gone rapidly downhill. We will, after the next game, be celebrating more of our fallen comrades and heroes. But we do need to get
Talk
on to
about
the
the
next
game?
game
Oh, okay.
because it is the last game of the last split. It's these teams. They're coming back. It's Order. It's Bombers.
We call that
see-
the final where I'm from.
No, we call it the last game. We do things differently here in Sydney. It is Bombers, a different looking Bombers, obviously, because of the two gentlemen that we just spoke about have left. How do we feel about the new team? Can they recapture the magic?
Yeah, it is a very new team. Actually, 3 different members. Coach
Yeah.
Western Way, he's no longer with us. Soul Strikes,
He's only
Lucio
here,
Park,
he's only with us in graphic.
yes, has come back. He's actually going to be coaching this lineup, of course. The new jungler replacing Vulcan. Very big shoes to fill, I think, in Wilder. A very similar start, but the man I want to talk about, Luch. This is a ex-Bombers mid laner.
Yep.
Now, trotting on over to the bottom lane, going into the AD carry position, has
Yep.
been a man. I've been casting him in the OCS, playing a couple of weeks of AD carry. It looks fairly good, but I think a very different ball game here up in the Premier League, and interesting to see how they stack up against both their opponents here today in order, but what the Bombers looked like last split.
Yeah, because the big thing for me, right, is that when you have a look at, both Wilder and Luch, so Wilder has played competitive,
Yep.
I believe. So, going to be coming in with some experience and, limited as it was. I believe it was in the LJL, if I'm talking about, correct.
Burning
jungler
call.
here. Yeah. And this guy, he came up through LJLCS and then came 4th in the LJL. And then Luch is a mid laner that I think his playstyle trans well into AD carry. However, he's definitely not FBI. So, I'm not flaming these players right now. I'm just saying that they have,
They were at a different
legendary
level
status.
last split, so.
We're expecting rookie of the split performance, and FBI behind Mimic was probably they had 1 and 2 in MVP votes. I think it was probably going to be Mimic and FBI, and throw Quinny K in there for good measure, Raise, and you probably got the top 3 of the MVP, right? So this is what they have to fill, and all I'm saying is right now for Bombers fans, because Essendon Football Club member. I think that you should not expect like immediate, like back to that top success. I think that this is actually, they're going to have to relearn how to play the game together. And I think it's going to take some time. I still think they're probably a top 3 team, top 4 team within the OPL.
Yeah.
But I do think that, you do need to be a little bit more patient. Don't expect them to just make that hard crash in, because these guys that, especially Luch, he's going to need some time with Rogue to get to that form.
I also think recency bias. Like, we're used to seeing Bombers after 12 weeks of play. Like, last time we saw them was at MSI in the grand final of the OPL. These guys, this is the first week, had been practicing behind the scenes. But, yeah, I think certainly going to be some gelling and a new Bombers lineup to be getting used to.
And a new coach. Like, everyone talks about this. But I've seen Soul Strikes. He's a hard ass behind the scenes. Like, he's certainly, like, Western Way is like a coach of the people. And, like, Soul Strikes is certainly not that.
He is the people.
He is
You're
the
just
people.
a pleb.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's an authoritarian figure, if ever I've seen one. Lots of pointing in Soul Strike's coaching room. So I think this team is going to need some time, but I'm very optimistic for them.
Yeah, also, once again, one of those situations where Soul Strikes is bringing in a multiple Korean roster.
Yep.
Mimic and Wilder coming in here. So, obviously, language barrier certainly is, like, less of a burden in that regard, so he can, like, fill that role.
Yep.
Do you think that the magic of Bombers last split was just this perfect chemistry of
Absolutely.
like 5 guys? And so with this, is there enough of that chemistry there to lift new people and to allow that in? Or is it a matter of these guys training up into the role?
Well, see, it's so funny, and like Bryce can speak to this probably a little bit better than I can, because when you're winning from the outside, chemistry looks perfect, even when it's not perfect. So sometimes changing players, in the case when the Chiefs did it, and I'm going to reference that team, and brought in Rays, it actually got better. Because it was a little bit of a new injection of like some fresh insight and some new
We were
blood.
old and stale.
Yeah, old and stale. And I think like that lifted the team and really reinvigorated the Chiefs. So I'm hoping that that is what the case is here with Bombers. But in saying that, you can break teams by changing members, and we have seen it happen before.
And I mean, like, we just won't know until we see them play, right? This is the first time we're going to see the roster playing together. You can put expectations on them based on what Bombers used to be, based on what these players, in the case, Luch used to be, new role, what we think they will be, but until they get onto the Rift, first game versus Order, really not going to know.
Because a team like you can say that about, right, is Mammoth, right? They are pretty much the old Direwolves, but without Schernfire. And you can see that Schernfire very much was the glue that brought that team together on game day, because we heard so often, such a good scrim team, but not able to bring it on game day. Well, that's the Schern factor, in my eyes, missing from that team. So is there going to be an FBI factor? Is there going to be, a Vulcan factor for the Bombers? Only time will tell us that.
So the Bombers, a very different looking team heading into this split. Order staying the same for today, but you have picked up a sub.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Sully or Paris coming in as the substitute. Young jungler, nimble fingers. Sam's old, a little bit stale.
Yeah.
He keeps saying it, but Sam knows how to play jungle. He's very smart about the game, plays a big leadership role in our team. And actually, Sam's better outside of scrims, because he can point out to the team in a very mature way a lot of the mistakes that we're making, and kind of eases the burden up on Aaron and I. So Sully right now playing a lot of scrim times, but not necessarily some stage time.
Yeah, this is only first game of the split.
Yeah, exactly right. But exact same lineup we're going to bring in today.
Are they probably sing along?
Yeah, they always sing before games.
Okay, I guess we just haven't had cameras on them for this long with this amount of. They're really going for it.
Has Order Spooks ever done like the pilot voice? They're like, hello, ladies and gentlemen.
He does,
Yeah?
yeah.
I love that. We need to bring that back.
Yeah.
We really need to bring that back.
Do we know what they are singing? Or is it always
No,
the
they
same
sing
thing?
something every... So Riot gives the footage for the mic checks. And ever since they saw, I think, a European team do it, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, they sing a different song every week.
Right,
but I can tell you that this is pre-discussed, if not more than the draft, at least equally
as
much as the draft.
I'm going to call it Old Town Road. The new remix, Lil Nas, Billy Ray Cyrus, that was Old Town Road.
All right, we're
right there.
Find out. We are going to find out. Well, hopefully we'll be able to get to the game soon. There are some slight audio issues preventing the start of the game. But Order...
All that tells me, on that
Yeah.
lineup, all that tells me that these teams are picky. Because the other teams just played a 40-minute banger with very little audio issue from what I could see as the
Order's
outsider.
audio is clearly working.
Clearly working at the moment.
Let's just blame
And
the
in fact-
Bombers on this one.
And in fact, if we don't have game audio, Order can just do all the sound effects like some sort of Police Academy film.
Yeah.
But I feel like we are nearly there, so let's throw it over to the desk for game number 2 with Skimmy and Rust.
Audio issues, dancing moves, scrims.
Look, all I want is for one of the 2 people on the couch to go and ask Choo Choos what they were singing,
What are they
because
singing?
we can do that as there isn't a coach interview for this particular game.
That's true.
So I hope
Can we get that playlist? Can we see what it is? Because we need a little bit of that magic. I saw some I don't want to call it dabs, but there was some like little interesting moves going on there from Order, looking to try and get themselves back into the flow of things. But I think, yeah, the analyst desk raised a very good point about the Bombers coming in with a sort of fantastic run. They come in now with a brand new roster for the most part, right? Does that magic work against them, or is it a case of, yeah, new life, new ideas, what we had before, let's add upon that?
I have a feeling, and again, we don't know anything definitively until we see it, but my feeling is that, you know, what Spawn highlights in the way that Soul Strikes tends to coach is that these players may learn a lot fast, but it may be a full reassessment of how they play League of Legends fundamentally. And so learning isn't doing. And so there's a chance that like they'll know all of these different things or be learning these different things. And it will take some time genuinely just to be able to replicate what it is that the authoritarian coach would like from them. As we're back to the dog.
Back
Hey,
to the
Bailey.
pupper.
Good night.
What an obedient dog.
Almost quoted Big Dog just there. Good night, boys and girls. Sweet dreams.
But no, I think it's a fantastic point you raise in terms of if you're changing a complete system, you bring in a new coach, happens all the time in professional sports as well, right? Some guy comes in, some person with a lot of great ideas is probably a better way to plant the idea.
It's
but
just
they come
Nick
in,
Boy is laughing behind
just a
you.
random boy.
My peripherals are just...
Who gets that reference? You're too old.
It's perfect.
But they come in with these new ideas and they say, this is the way I want us to play. And if you've been stuck in a system for such a long time, then...
Wait,
it
how
can be
old
quite
do you
hard.
have to be to understand that reference?
At least like 30s.
30s? I'm not 30s. Oh, Jesus. Oh.
You're just a priest.
Oh, sorry. I get them confused all the time. No, I feel like I'd say 23 if you're...
I was on my
Big
phone.
Dog.
I've actually lost
Big
what we're
Dog.
talking about as well.
Big Dog. I don't know what Big Dog is.
You remember, it was Channel 7 or 9,
Remember
but
Big Dog?
No.
it was like 7:30, he'd put you to
the
bed.
kids to sleep. He'd put a pillow over their face.
no!
and
In Canberra we had Prime Possum.
we had Prime
No, there
Possum
was
too,
no
baby! High five for Prime Possum. Oh, I kissed Prime Possum on the lips.
Well, thanks for screen graphics, saving me from a rather awkward conversation about possums and all the other different animals. And Order and Bombers. Yes, Rusty, Order and Bombers. Going into game number 2 of the day. Week 1, day 1, split 2.
And a lot
It's a
to
rematch.
prove, absolutely. Now, Order, of course, it's the finals rematch. It's an exciting game. There's
Yes.
definitely a lot here for both of these teams. Maybe there's something in the back of their minds. You know, someone like Order, they lost them in the finals. Of course, they want to smash
Yes.
them in week 1, day 1 of the OPL. For their opponents in Bombers, it's just about proving that the changes can still be good. You know, the players that left were for good reasons. They were able to go from Oceania to bigger things for them, you know, following some dreams that they have. But the Bombers organization is still here. They've just gone to MSI. They want to prove they still have what it takes to keep up with the big dogs of the league.
Absolutely, indeed. And I think if I was to be a betting man here, Rusty, I want to say that Order would have the edge just for the fact that they have a lot of experience, the likes of Telly, Spooks, Swiffer, some legends of the Oceanic region that can surely carry if the Order is in play. That wasn't a deliberate
Well,
punt.
yeah, there's nothing really changed from Order. You know, they added a substitute, but he's someone that's able to work with the team in the background. You know, the 5 starters should just be here. And this is similar to what I said about the last game, you know, like with Legacy.
Business as usual.
I want Order to show up pretty much how they ended. Now, I know that's unrealistic to say that, you know, after a break, maybe they don't, as team play works, but you want to see that because that's where your mind and your expectations go. Like, can Order just start how they finished and dominate their way through the regular season, which is how they ended, which was dominant.
Bombers maybe watch the game prior. As they ban away to Nautilus, they ban away to Zaya, and still no team in the OPL wants to see what Yuumi can do on the Rift. A frustrating hero. I love to play support. I've played Yuumi, the ultimate AFK hero. You jump on your teammate, you chuck out a magic missile.
Wow.
And that's a first pick Lux.
That is, yep.
Light to be blessed.
Lux-
Is that because Nick was here? The
Lux
priest?
is often one of those champions that you will see as a counter matchup potentially. It can go mid, it can go support, so it has got 2 roles. Maybe Order, I would say, with the Nautilus and the Yuumi taken off the board, have said we'll take the bot lane matchup. But at the same time, Lux could just be picked knowing that, like, and again, when we look at the flex champions, what are strong flex champions currently available? Ryze is one of the few left up again. Lux could just be a preemptive pick, which I think is crazy.
the priority for that to go in a first pick situation means they've definitely got something sneaky planned for this best of one. Bombers wasted no time at all going for that rise. They do lock in the Jarvan as well, so some fantastic ganking potential. Ability to lock you in place and get some upstream time. They do go for what could potentially be the bottom lane double poke as a Nico comes in as the third pick.
Okay, so my feeling here with 3 picks already done for Order is that they've picked for a composition very much so, you know. Now, the order of the picks, Lux makes me feel like they've tried to take it away from Bombers, like it's a highly contested pick or something between the two of them.
Sure.
These are things we don't know, right?
Yeah.
But maybe that's the case, and you know, the composition they have right now, between a Lux and Ezreal and a Nico who could go the GLP build, it's a lot of poke. It's a lot of, you know, potential follow-up CC that they can couple together. Crowd control is wild coming out of them. Whereas their opponents have just gone for the Thresh Rise jump. Like, they've just gone for the engage route. There's pick and there's engage from them. So very different styles in terms of draft as they clash already.
Yeah, definitely Bombers are saying, well, if you want to set far and wide back, then we want to force those engages fresh. If Nautilus is not available, then how about you pick up him for those hook potentials, the ability to get in your face and cause some chaos. Lee Sin banned away, so that Order cannot find any picks with the Lux, with the likes of a Nico, and then follow it up with a massive kick. But then Sivir is I'd like to say, a very smart ban here from Order, because it just finds so much value, especially in the bottom lane, against what we are imagining at this stage to be the Lux and Ezreal.
Yeah, surely, and it's also very hard to gank when they've got the Thresh and the Sivir, so they can cover some distances, do it fairly safely. And in the battle of what seems to be a Rek'Sai, Lee Sin taken off the board, physical jungle is removed from the side of Order. Olaf is already gone. Yes, they need physical damage somewhere through the remaining roles, but for what it's worth, you know, the Lux is still considered a flex pick until we can see they can't flex it. And that means they still have the capabilities of a physical damage dealer in one of the solo lanes, right? Like, it's still viable for them, and the bans from Bombers just kind of force that route more than they say you pick a physical jungler, as 3 of them are banned.
So Kaiser denied, so they have little follow-up engage from an AD standpoint, especially with the ultimates at level 6. Varus locked in here, though, and arguably has one of the strongest level 2s, if spec'd correctly. If they hit that level 2 power spike with a hook and a flay, and a goodbye to your day.
I mean, Varus Thresh is just oppressive. So, strong 2v2 bot lane, has a lot of poke, has a lot of potential all-in, especially as they spike to 6. But early game, they're still definitely still strong. You see the response here from Order. That's the physical damage that you're expecting to see from them. And this may just be the confirmation of the role that the Lux is going if something like this is secured.
Yep, the gateway from Jace would be quite nice for the ability to try and run away.
Unless it's Nico support. Yeah, it is Lux support.
Yeah, it's definitely looking to be that case. So that's a Xin Zhao. That's going to be the Jax. Fight fire with fire?
Yeah, well, that's just one of the spooks picks. You know, you came into this the first split of the OPL, and for the first couple of weeks, all we heard from Spawn and from Order was just don't give him Xin Zhao. He's just one-tricking it, and he's still very good on the champion, undoubtedly. As we await the pick, once again, Bomber's signature champion here for the top lane. Knows what he wants in the matchup.
Gone for the Poppy, gone for the tank, gone for the reliability. And I'm seeing, you know, 2 fantastic champions when it comes to disengage potential, with the knockback potential from a Poppy. The same could be said of the Jace as well, but Jace is going to be mid.
Here's the thing that I thought would be, so like the Poppy pick is good in the Jace. We have seen Mimic on an international stage play the matchup well.
Yeah.
But it could just be the Nico, so... And that's what you would expect it to be, first of all, once that last pick was secured there by the Bombers. So I'm curious to see how they play this one out now, as both teams, again, teleports everywhere, split pushing 1-3-1 still available everywhere. A little bit more reliable hard engage, and, you know, generally easier to play composition, you would imagine, from the Bombers. On the side of Order, there's a bit more finesse to it, but if one piece of crowd control hits from, say, the Nico, the Lux always follows, and they're able to burst people out very successfully through that. As once again, it's going to be just high damage everywhere.
Yeah, and there's no lack of that. Yes, you do have a bit of a tankier lineup across both sides this time, but still the damage factor is a big, big one at that. And, you know, you're looking at engage potential, and you raise a good point, and I want to follow that up and slam dunk it home in terms of Order have a jigsaw puzzle composition. One piece goes in, you find that second piece, and suddenly before you know it, you've completed this 15,000 piece puzzle, and you, as the Order, have set your claim to day number 1.
You'd want to see something very strong from them early in the game. And speaking of early in the game, you have to look towards level 1s here for particularly a team like Order.
Yes.
Nico Lux, absolutely. Ezreal wants to get the Klepto procs. I would expect to see a little bit of aggression from them. Maybe not just the fan start, the 5-point start from them, and defensive. But we'll see where they choose to go as we are getting onto the Rift right now, Skimmy. And their respective opponents' bombers could actually choose to stack up themselves if they were afraid or expecting it, perhaps.
Well, I think you raise a valid line of questioning and thoughts.
Look at the mini-map. Look at Order.
They should be wanting to do that.
No hesitation. They sprint in. That was very... Now, like this, they clear the ward, so that's actually really good. This is very aggressive from Order in their pathing. They don't choose to wait. They don't choose to do anything crazy or cheeky. They just sprint. And they try and see how quickly... It basically just felt like a stress test. Like, how quickly can they get to the area needed? Yeah. And Rogue really just shows up and then walks away. Of course, his ward is cleared, so that's good information for Order, but that's all it really came down to.
Yeah, the ward goes out. Pings are still there, furious. Order still looking to try and do something with this one, but they do manage to lay claim with a ward onto blue.
Yeah, and that's a much better ward. So they follow it up as 3. They get a ward to see the blue buff itself. It's not deep enough to see Grob, but they know the timing's there as well. Bombers also saw the timing, and they're going to start on the opposite side of the map. So matched mirror jungle here. Blue versus red, of course, as we're going down towards the bottom side of the map. And that's where it gets really curious. You have to look at lane priority. Who's controlling their waves? If I'm starting on the top side as a jungler and I want to pass towards bottom, who do I want to have as my 2v2? And it's actually, I would say, skill-based. You know, if Jake hits that, lane goes a little bit better. But now Varus and Thresh can push and they can control the wave, which goes into the favor of Wilder.
And I think it comes down to, you know, when you look at League of Legends and you just look at MOBAs in general, right, you obviously see the positioning, the hustling, the KDAs, the rest of it, but you can actually tell, you know, charismatic as they are they wishing to go for those trades? Are they looking to be the one that initiates those hooks or initiates those bindings first? And just overall, what is their confidence going into split number 2? So you see a very early invade here, or a gank attempt at that, as a flash flag comes across. That's the ignite. That's the flash to dodge out the flag and drag. No red proc, no chance.
Tally? He's really low, but Spooks is up here as well. They're looking for the poppy.
They are indeed. Gets the flash, gets a second. Red buff's going to do it. Nico wanted it. The Spooks picks up first blood. 2 minutes and 30 into this one.
And you know, we're at a point in League of Legends where Jat has decided the Scuttle Crabs will be at 3 minutes and 15 seconds. And most junglers around the world are like, well, we're just going to full clear our camps, you know, 4 camp into Scuttle maybe this time instead of just level 2 ganking. But here we are. Game 2 of the OPL. 2 level 2 ganks on the opposite sides of the map well before Scuttle Crabs start to come up and available. And they get those ganks in early rather than later. Maybe unexpected, you know, in the current landscape of how League of Legends gets played, but both teams aligned in that they wanted to try that.
Well, what's interesting to note is just the priority on map control. I'm seeing 2 teleports on the side of Order, 3 on the side of the Bombers, as the flash goes out, instantly flashed before any animation could have come across there onto Swiffer, as both are dancing with death now, as both junglers, both left and right, look to clap.
Yeah, Swiffer was the one who came out much worse for that trade. Of course, still has the cleanse, but not enough health in comparison. The potion difference proved to be quite large. And now, if he finishes that recall, which he does, the disadvantage of not having teleport does actually come to hurt him. However, his respective opponent in Ryoma chooses not to teleport because he couldn't afford tier. So not being able to afford the tier, he wants to be able to recall and teleport in once he has that and can start stacking it up as efficiently as possible.
Yeah, has opted for the Dark Seal start instead, opting for a little bit more pressure, as opposed to the General Mana Crystal. Swiffer has got the cleanse on lockdown should he decide to try and go for a team fight and back up Spooks as they jump into play. Rogue with the Hex Flash available to carry on making those flash plays if need be.
And we do have the Glacial Augment Nico, so you expect the GLP Twin Shadows build coming out of him. Very annoying. Just so incredibly annoying. Slows people down, sets up the rest of your team. You know, you put down a Twin Shadows and Lux hits a free Q. Suddenly, that's it. Someone dies. That's what you expect to see coming out of him if they get to group up and bring Tally to fights at all. And for me, that's what I would look at if I was Order. I would say, let's do objectives like Herald, like Dragon. Let's bring bombers to us once we have those items and actually set up some pick, because we want to get there first to siege them down.
I just raised question marks over just the ability for Bombers to, if this does go long, 40 minutes as the previous affair was, the ability just to draft into magic resistance really starting to impact what Order are looking to try and achieve. You know, you got all this AP on their side.
For Order?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, kind of. The rest of their comp is physical. Ezreal has the choice of being hybrid. I mean, they have so much damage that I don't think you can afford to build one type of resistance to be successful. So we'll hold that thought. Boy, flashed!
The double flash, the knock up, the collapse to try and get this one into tally, and it is successful.
Super aggressive coming out of the Jarvan. I thought after the flag drag wasn't quite there, but he commits to it. He's able to pick up the kill, so tally goes down. A bit of retribution there on the top side of the Rift. Not a bad start from Bombers bouncing back in that top lane, and Poppy seems to be doing perfectly fine in the 1v1 overall.
It's needed as well, as Jarvan was a little bit behind in terms of the jungle. Down by 10 CS, so I had to try and force something after a few failed attempts, and wasted XP, wasted chance to get yourself ahead, which has allowed Spooks to stay free reign when it comes to counter jungling.
Yeah, as you would expect from Spooks. Now he's level 5 to the 4 of Wilder, and is also stealing away a camp. There is only 2 camps up now for Wilder on the opposite side of the map to the red buff, and opposite side of the map to the Scuttle Crab. So really good from Spooks here in terms of movement to get his maximized experience. And now will be much closer to 6 than that of his opponent, who has spent more time ganking than otherwise farming those camps.
Picks up Scuttle number 1. Control waters there as well, so a lot of vision around the top side of this map should a roam take place, and it's very important information for the likes of Swiffer, especially when there's a teleport from Ryoma. To try and match that should a fight take place. I'll make sure you are there.
I'd say so far so good for Ryoma in this middle lane. Amazingly gets his tier and still doesn't have to teleport to the lane. Is what you would have expected to see from him. So clearly has a lot of control in terms of minion waves, but it means he's not being very active moving around the rift. So just very close in proximity to his own control wards, not being aggressive, not finding his opponents by any means. It seems like most of the movements of Bombers is revolving around Wilder, and now, of course, Rogue at 7 minutes.
Yeah, definitely has rushed for those Moby boots.
But Rogue also doesn't have wards. Note that he's gone for the sweeper. So while he has Moby Boot Skimmy, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's placing vision. It means that he's clearing vision.
It suggests to me, based on the fact that he has gone for the Hex Flash, he has gone for the Moby Boots level 1, he wants to try and force the agenda in some capacity. Maybe look to try and join Wilder should a mid to bottom fight take place, or more notably, should a Dragon contest take place.
And it's just so rogue to have the Hex Flash. I feel like he's one of the players that, you know, Alistar, Thresh guy will probably try and run it every game he can. Loves being able to make those plays for his team. Rogue and Destiny love being the engagers.
Nice little jump back there. That would have been a bit of disaster. Ryoma is low this time, however, with the mana. J4 going for the flag and drag. Is going to get juked out. Has the red buff. Can Swiffer do much around this one? They turn around. Spooks with 6. Spooks with red. They get a kill. Now can they find a second, looking to try and collapse into this one. Dragon is available should they decide to try and switch to it afterwards. The damage is there. Spooks securing it, but the fight is not done. Still in bot lane.
Yeah, they're still looking towards Jake. He's just going to go down for certain here. Unless he doesn't, the shield's up, they're in.
Luch forced to run the opposite way right now, and the members of Order are collapsing upon him. Buying time, looking for the clean sweep of this bottom section of the map. Luch jumps left, Luch goes right. Welcome to the OPL. Dream says goodbye.
Yeah, and very kindly they give the kill to Dream. So Order across the board now starting to really ramp up in strength. And what a way to start the OPL against the Bombers of all teams is with that 1,000 gold advantage, 5-2 in kills. And 2-0-2 is Spooks and Swiffer, the dynamic duo of Order.
It hurts for the Varus coming back to lane with just 2 daggers, a cutlass and a Doran shield. You compare that to the inevitable power spike now that Dream's going to face with the Sheen as well as the Tear. It's scary times in the bottom lane if you're a Bomber fan.
And for those who don't know as well, Ezreal's item build has changed a lot. Usually you'd see, you know, the Manamune, Trinity Force, pretty standard, Blade of the Ruined King perhaps, but hang on. Oh, that's big.
Oh, that's a massive Cataclysm right there onto Free, but it's forced to jump out as they look to try and collapse onto Jake, who, well, caught out indeed. You can see from the face cam, even he's in a bit of disbelief as to how that went so poorly, but regardless, Order do stabilize as pings go out. Bombers say it's our time to pick up a Cloud Drake.
That was so nice from Wilder. Just able to work around the vision that the opponents had of his allies, but not of him. Hits the triple man knock up and ultimate, locks them all down, and Jake dead to rights. Now, the thing that is really tragic for Order is the timing of that. You know, they didn't really want to go for that, missing all of their summoner spells. They just took the trade that was good for them. And Bombers, with no hesitation, continue the aggression and bring that one back in their favor straight away. It's just crisp coming out of Wilder. Even taking the Lantern afterwards to make sure that he doesn't take damage. Still fragile at this stage in the game. And Moroma is able to hit that one home.
Just look at the amount of vision they had to facilitate and see really where every member of Order were, and their positioning was uncontested. You had Rise from the river, you had the rest coming in from the flank. It was a fight that spelt disaster from the start here for Order. Regardless, 10 minutes into this one.
Might finally have a moment. The Ezreal build that I was going to talk about. We probably don't, he's hex flashing. Anyway, so the build tends to be finish the Manamune still as normal. And there has been a lot of different variants that I've seen. You can choose to go Iceborne Gauntlet. You can choose to go Trinity Force. You can choose to hold it at Sheen. And then go towards Luden's Echo, which is the third item of choice now, as Rogue is in trouble.
Rogue is indeed in trouble, takes a lot of damage. Multiple assists come across as well. That's going to be the binding was so damn close, but the flash ensuring that Luch was not going to be collapsed upon, because there were 3 hungry members of Orders. They get the scout with the vision. They are invading. They can't find anything, however. There is no blue buff. There is no dragon.
It's still big, however, because they cannot afford to defend the bottom lane outer turret Luch. He's going to disappear. And even though nobody's there, they've only just been spotted moving towards the Rise. Dream now gets free time to hit that bot lane turret. And Bombers, they don't want to go down there and defend it at all. They're going to try and trade with objectives. Rift Herald for the bot lane turret.
Yeah, Rift Herald, a nice
At least
little pick up
plates.
here. Yeah, it's looking like plates at this stage. Varus will definitely get back in time for this one. Curious to see where we're going to see this Rift Herald get utilized.
Because, the thing is, they could have continued to stay bottom order. They most likely could have just planted 4 people down there. Still, Luch was definitely zoned away. He was looking to base. And actually, they're just going to teleport for this. Oh, no.
Completely whiffs. It doesn't connect with anybody at all. Luxalt comes across, does damage members. Now they're going to juggle their aggro. Nico up into the air. Eat everything that they can. That's the flay, that's the box, that's the kill, that's Dream finding 1. AD for AD right now as Ryoma finds a second. It's a 1-for-1 trade. Bit of a messy team fight, to be quite honest, as they juggle the aggro under that tower. But yeah, particles are flying.
Yeah, Messi doesn't begin to really describe what just happened there. Tally's dead. His stopwatch is no longer available, so it's broken now. And Bombers, they're there in time to defend the bottom lane turret. But it goes without saying, Luch, he cooked that one a little bit. Unfortunately, just misses the ultimate on someone walking in a straight line. Maybe expected him to stop and hit him with spells, but not the case. So that one goes wide and then takes the Thresh Lantern into an Ezreal queue and just gets popped.
It feels like one of those moments where you're smurfing. God forbid that ever you smurf, but you play in a lower bracket and you expect them to sidestep and they don't do it, and then you get made to look like an idiot. And you're thinking,
Yeah.
well, if you were a good player, and that just starts a whole new flame war and all chat.
There's actually, it's almost like a circle. So, bronze people, and this is just generalizing, of course, don't juke.
Nope.
Platinum to diamond people, juke everything. Challenger people, don't juke. Because you have to remember, what are you aiming for? Am I aiming my skill shot at someone juking or not? And so more often than not, the challenger player runs straight at you because they know they'll win it.
And it's the mind games of are they going to juke? Are they not? No, they're the alpha of the Rift.
One of the ways to really detect who is the diamond player in the challenger game is, their ability to throw skill shots and constantly aiming for jukes when no one's juking.
Rift Herald doesn't get juked by that tower, doing half of its health bar, looking to take a few more plates if it can do.
Oh, Tally, hit the eye, mate. He's been so hard juked by that Herald. Oh, the Varus ult.
That's a massive Varus ult there, but a Lux to follow up as well, forcing out the flash. Rogue forced to back away, but
Rome is
remember,
here,
rocks off
though.
the party. Doesn't have flash, bear in mind, but will have that root. That's the turnaround, but the damage is disgusting. Slow or not, Jake is not having a good time so far. 0 and 3.
And we really have established the win conditions within this game. You've got a 3-1 mid laner who's been doing incredibly well, even considering what has been thrown at him. A big Xin Zhao, a big Jace. And now they're going to try and throw themselves at him one more time.
Let's get that bounty. That's what they say. Worth 300 and shut down just like that. Swiffer, clean as can be. That was the talking point I wanted to bring up was, bottom lane is a bit of a clown fiesta, but mid lane has been a back and forth affair with Swiffer now surely asserting dominance.
I mean, the bottom lane from Order has been generally quite good as well. It just feels like a bit of nerves, you know, getting the sea legs out here for someone like Luch. Just really, you know, adapting back to what it's like to be on stage. Remember, he's in a new role as well.
Yes,
so
yes.
there's not, I wouldn't expect a crazy amount from him, and it is just a shame, of course, that you're seeing some what feels like nerves. But at the end of the day, Order's bot lane still doing quite well. 2-0-1 is the Ezreal. The first turret, of course, starts to go towards them when they choose to take that one down. And easy as you'd like, they give themselves a 2,500 gold lead. But it really is, you know, the Jace, the Xin Zhao, what they're getting done on the Rift is starting to really add up to be a big deal. There's so much pressure, so much damage between them, but no one on their opponent's side can really answer. You're looking at, say, Righteous Glory for Ryoma is one of the big points where he's a lot harder to kill, and that's just because, you know, the Jace is a lethality build.
Does have the Archangels, does have the Tabbies as well. Definitely, if Xin Zhao jumps onto him, he's going to have a bad day unless that portal is available, but even then that raises a whole bunch of new questions around juking and the ability to utilize that at the right time, right place. First item thankfully online here for Luch, which hopefully will give him a bit of confidence and morale, as he does have that Blooded Rune King now in his arsenal. And we're going to just start to see exactly how this Ezreal build comes online. No indication yet.
Well, he's left it at the Sheen, which generally would mean that he's going to try and rush the Luden's Echo if you've gone for the Lost Chapter. In saying that, Lost Chapter, the earlier you can purchase it, the better, because you get mana back and level up. So
Yep.
the earlier, of course, you can get it, the more efficient it becomes for the passive that it has. He's also still 30 minions away from finishing off that Cull, and that will help free up some item slots, which will be nice for it.
Dragon for Dragon, 1 for 1. Cloud for Mountain. As Mick looks to finish and finalize the top tower, as plating has now disappeared 16 minutes into this game.
But this is big from Order. This is what you expect their composition to want to do, right? They've got the GLP on the Nico. They've brought the Nico to the area. They've got the Jace with 4 kills and lethality build.
Yeah.
They're going to siege.
They
They are
wanna
going to
siege.
post up in your face and just taunt you to engage on them. And it should be so difficult to do with a Nico, with the Xin Zhao, even with a Lux, you know, available.
Should you engage with shields, we've got knockups, we've got slows. We have a lot of tools to prevent your all-in collapse, and I don't think we're going to see the easy Cataclysm like Wilder found before.
No, I think we're finding that Rogue is too fragile to really function right now, to be able to step up and engage at all. And you know, they're covering their flanks too well here, Order, playing towards one side of the lane. And that really is starting to become overbearing as, you know, 17 minutes in, the mid lane outer turret's broken simply by sieging. And the next question really is, what's next for Order? And is it just going top as a team again and breaking the top lane outer? Or are they going to split the map up a little bit more, you know, post up just Dream and Jake on that side of the map and defend them?
Yeah, Bombers now switching up their warding situation. A big priority was towards that river into top lane and circumferring the likes of Baron, but now switching around to the bottom half of the map with 2 pink wards there. Likewise, Order have their eyes on the reroute, if you will, the underpass as you go on through the Valley of Death from mid to bot lane. The lane swap has taken place, however. Poppy is here, and Poppy will farm.
Yeah, Poppy's in a pretty comfortable position, has the CS advantage. His opponent is 0-2-2, so not going to be overbearing in lane by any means. Just a nuisance, honestly. And you can really gauge, you know, how is the tank done in lane by the items that they choose to go towards. And against a magic damage heavy champion, to rush a Sunfire Cape, I think he had a pretty good time.
Yeah.
You know, he's able to build for the composition, to get rid of the strength of the Jace and the Xin Zhao early, or to, you know, alleviate some of that pressure. And he's not feeling threatened by the Nico at all.
Pings go out. Skulldugger gets picked up once again by Order here. I'm just looking to try and keep these lanes in check, as we do have the Baron spawning in just under, or just over a minute, I should say. Next Drake in 2 minutes and 30.
Itemization now coming online as well. You've got the Luden's Echo done for the Ezreal, and this really is that moment in the game where I would say the whole composition of Order are so far online that Bombers are going to have a real rough time unless they get the engage that they need. And they need to get it quick and not let this poke hit them.
Yeah, that's the big one that you discussed, absolutely. The draft really caters towards it between the likes of everything. So they look to say, let's force this thing, let's make it happen. They jump on him, but they don't find what they need. Fresh landing a hook onto Spooks, not the target you want to catch out right there and bring into your squad. Well, he will definitely wreak havoc.
But you take that. 2 flashes away from the Order members in the process of just throwing out Thresh hooks that are connecting. Xin Zhao's ultimate, Lux's ultimate as well. You know, Order still may be in a position to post up with vision, look towards objectives, but it's not as safe by any means right now.
Teleport is available. Teleport is coming in here to the top lane as it looks to be the Order looking to overextend himself. Dream in a situation that you really wish you weren't. Is it a nightmare? Get a name change after this one right there as Nico jumps into the air. Nico looking to try and slow things down. Once again, their Rusty ultimates, and summoners had to be utilized to stabilize the situation with 5 members surviving on either side, but health bar is very low.
Rogue definitely dying to Dream in particular, so someone who thought they were caught, hang on, see you later. Luch unfortunately goes, so now it's 2 members that have died, and that's a lot of control given for Order on the top side quadrant of the map if they choose to just clear the vision. Dream basically just soloed Rogue by just hitting Qs and then channeling his ultimate while he was hooked. So it looked like he wasn't going to be able to do anything, but because the ultimate channel goes through no matter what, locks him down, gets the free kill. So much damage, and now the cull's stacked as well. It has an extra item slot for even more.
Sells it now, goes to the Phage, and we may be seeing the Trinity Falls. However, he does actually recall that.
He changes the Phage out for the Stinger, so
More
wants
CD.
to, yeah, get as much cooldown reduction as possible, and I do not blame him at this point in the game. That should be what he's after. And Order and Bombers should both be looking towards the Baron area now. And the thing is, if you give Order any control around that Baron area, unfortunately for the Bombers side, face checking it could be their life. But what do you do to actually stop them from controlling it? Because how do you walk into them without all-in engage with 2 flashes available? Top side not having flashes, Jarvan being an engage tool. Mimic not having a flank teleport and only now being freed from side lanes. I think they have to just try and pull a rabbit out.
Yeah, otherwise it just feels like you're slowly bleeding into this game as they are forced to defend mid. Order having free reign of the map. They're going for a Ocean Drake. Bombers are still a little bit indecisive as to what they want to do. Wilder is getting very, very aggressive, looking to try and scout out vision. He is on his own, very
Yeah,
far
it's real
behind enemy
deep.
territory.
He hasn't been spotted, but that is super
That's a
deep.
flank though, and that's a
in
flank that they
terms of-
desperately need.
Yeah, in terms of positioning, that's wild. But in saying that, they are able to secure that control for free because Order do go towards the Dragon, and Bombers haven't had their ward cleared. There is a single ward sitting in the Baron pit that Order haven't been able to touch yet, so good warning from Bombers overall to secure knowledge that if Order are doing anything, it is baiting. And still, they haven't cleared the ward.
Yeah, Order have superior vision control by far. At least 4 vision wards is what I can see on the map surrounding this mid to top section. One in mid lane as well, definitely accentuating the fact that they want to poke, they want to know where you are. If you look to try and play defensive and try and find that spot to engage the flank to Cataclysm and the rest, there is no chance. You are in the dark and you're taking damage from afar.
Jarvan flag seems to be the safest option they have in terms of checking bushes without having to face check them. But if he uses the flag, that does mean he doesn't have disengage. He can only go one direction then. Or he can try and walk away from someone that may be in that position.
2-man running squad comes to top lane to clear out this tower. No plating, easy to take on down. Teleport is available now on Riomis, so a nice swap up here to put Mimic into the top lane based on the fact that there is no flank. Can just easily transition
And
on down.
that's a really good point for lane assignments. So who's going to play against you? You know, when you have the 1-3-1 setup where the teleports come into effect, Ryoma will probably be comfortable now against Swiffer. May not be able to 1v1 him, but I don't think either of them die anymore. Righteous Glory's done. So
Yeah.
it's a big rise. You know, it's definitely a threatening rise to deal with. That was a flash from Rogue.
Flash, Flay, Box, everything. Can Dream get taken on down? They put everything into him, but Rogue faces the same fate as before in the top part of the map. Goes on down for free, uncontested, 2 for nothing as the bot lane disappear. I would not be surprised right now to say Order. We go for Baron.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I can't help but feel like they tried to make a play a little bit too aggressively when they had the Rise setting up on the bottom side of the map. He doesn't have a chance to push, but he's here now. He is grouped. Order have started the Baron. Bombers, they're not going to contest.
Lux does have the Crucible, so the cleanse could come in clutch here to try and prevent the likes of Riona CC Wombo combo. But that's going to be a very easy to pick up Baron. No contest whatsoever. And Bombers forced to try and pick up constellation prizes in some cheeky counter jungling.
If you're a Bombers fan, you're terrified of this. The state of the map right now, oh, So you don't want to play against your opposing composition when they've got a Baron buff. They can post up in a lane, then they can just threaten you. I feel like pick 2 lanes. You wouldn't want a 1-3-1. You don't even necessarily want a 1-4. You just want to control 2 areas of the map. So Bombers, they're gone.
That's the twin shadows you were talking about, but that's the portal to get out of harm's way for free. And you've got 3 big characters right now.
Yeah.
Spooks, Swiffer, and Dream, all with bounties to their name, 300 being the smallest. Perfect records.
And just watch where they set up now on the map. They've deployed themselves in a 1-4. They'll probably want to bring Swiffer back to the team once they show someone on the bottom side of the map. But right now, inner turret should be free. So they'll go for the inners. They'll use the Baron to get 2 turrets definitely. But it's the inhib turrets that you really have to start looking, as Swiffer loses most of his health.
Top lane is pushing organically. Likewise, same for mid.
This is so rough to deal with.
Order in a really good spot. One, they have poke. The map is pushing itself already. Bombers are choked.
They're just sitting so far behind their turret to avoid the poke that they cannot clear the wave.
And you know what they want to do? They want to go to where Spooks is to try and force that flank out, but they have boards, they have control tanks. They can see where you're at, they can see what you're up to.
It needs a teleport. Mimic has to teleport. I feel like the ward that we just scrolled past to be what they look at. They are hunting.
Varus lands the ultimate, but to no real success, no follow-up, no chance to really find that setup that they need. The
Oh
wombo
my
combo
God,
coming out on
stop.
towards Ryoma. The Arcane just having to be burnt to prevent a one-shot combo, but this is just disgusting from a poking aspect.
This is really refreshing to watch as well, you know? Someone who watches Oceania. What are you doing? What are you doing, Cannon?
It's like
What
a
is he
super minion
doing?
from last game, just doesn't want to play.
How'd they get there?
Regardless, we're looking at an inhibitor dropping on down 26 minutes into this game as Order match the scoreline, 12 kills to 5. It really paints at this stage an accurate picture as to how this game is started to unravel.
Yeah, you know, the thing that's awesome about this game, back to the point that I wanted to make as well, is it's not just a team fight. You know, Oceania is infamous for their Os ARAMs. The 5v5 group up in mid lane, your opponents are going to 5v5 and respond as well. But this is a finesse comp, you know? You've got all of the poke, you've got siege, and the way that you want to operate this is by not fighting. It's by poking your opponents down until they can't fight you. And that really is the style and the flavor that we've got matching up against one another right here. And so far, wow, very successful for Order. 8,000 gold lead and an inhibitor.
That's just
Yeah,
so
laughing.
frustrating to go up against, especially when your composition is built around hard engage, and you can't find that moment. You saw a little bit of desperation from them landing the hook and landing the Varusol, but just, we can't actually fight this. There is nothing we can do. We have to sacrifice this inhibitor, and you know, in spots like that, it definitely does start to play in your mind, and in the best of one series, that's when you definitely feel like you're up a creek with no battle.
Yeah, and against a comp like this, you know, Bombers, it's easy enough to say this is what we need to do. It's another thing to say this is how we do it, or we can do it, you know? Like, the poke is such a long range that to actually close that distance requires teleport flanks, or, you know, something like that. Order are being very diligent in clearing those wards and not allowing them any opportunities.
And everywhere they step foot there, Rusty, they've always got pinks on demand.
Oh
Always scanning
my
you out.
God.
The damage is just disgusting. Ezreal says, good night to you indeed. Varus is gone, Swiffer jumps in. The poke, the hard engage, it's whatever you need it to be. Because right there, Spooks jumps on in. It's looking to get crazy, but maybe they say we can just settle for an inhib. As Rogue feeling the pain of a support, no less, in Lux. Still nearly getting his counterpart down.
And Luch feeling the pain of being one hit by an Ezreal. It's not going to feel too good either. It's all... Never mind.
Could have been worse. Both side lanes now will be feeling the pressure of some super minions. And they, once again, are just still under no threat. This is a blue buff Ezreal. He is just firing sniper shots.
Bombers are running out of map. At a certain... Oh, jeez, it's going deep.
They have to force a fight at some stage. Jay falls out of the picture. No Cataclysm. No ability to try and survive this one. As Ryoma forces off that Archangel very early on. Swiffer says, I don't even care about my bounty. I want to make things happen. Nico is there for the protection as the stopwatch goes
Mimic.
off. Mimic.
Oh, he's going.
You absolute madman. That's a double kill. Can they find a third? When's that charge coming up online? He's looking for Swiffer. That's the flag and drag. The shutdown is there. That's 2. That's the Cataclysm. Can they get the elusive
I think Dream kills them here if he doesn't get hit by a hook. genuinely think he kills them.
He gets one. He gets two. The shutdown onto Varus. It's a 1-for-1 trade. Luch takes that every single day of the week.
And Dream was hunting it. Tally tries to support him in the wings as well. The base in shambles here from Bombers, but they have one inhibitor left. That inhibitor prevents the double supers from spawning and may just be the saving grace in buying them more time. But you can't help but feel like time is the only thing they have left, and it is running short.
Dream definitely looked to try and get a week 1 montage clip right there.
Yeah, he wanted it.
He wanted the entire team wipe, showcasing how far ahead this Ezreal was.
I mean, if you ever wanted a moment to appreciate why Oceania is known as the team-fighting team, it's because Order, unfortunately, just went that tiny little bit too far, reached a little bit too far. You know, Xin Zhao with no ultimate, not really ideal as the person who should be tanking. They do open themselves finally to the teleport or the flanks from Mimic, and he's able to get that one off. And you know, that's the one time this game where you would really highlight a moment and say, you know, it's not a game-losing moment, but a bit needless. You know, giving over a ridiculous amount of shutdowns, 1,000 from the Ezreal,
Yeah.
600 as well from, I think, the Jace.
A turning point, questionable, but definitely a highlight moment as to when this game definitely swung in the balance. And you know, it would have been so good with their flank control, their flank protection. The one time it goes off,
Oh dear.
but hang on a minute. Wilder jukes everyone. He flags and drags. Nico misses the ultimate. The laser comes on through, but Tally does pick up that kill regardless. They're in position. They're set up. They may just go for this Baron.
Oh, and another one's caught.
Oh, that's
And another one.
That's a triple. It feels like DJ Khaled. We're releasing a music video. Another one is there. There's no teleport from Mimic. There's no chance for him to even make anything happen.
That should be game.
They don't even need Baron.
Realistically, that should be game over. There's inhibitors that will be taken down as the minimum. Top
Yes.
lane has got supers. You can see the teleport coming through as well from Dream. Want to push that wave in. They've got time. They've got 15 seconds. It may not be game, but they can post themselves up in a commanding position to threaten it. And if they can't get this, you move back to Baron.
Regardless, Plan A and Plan B both look like attractive options to them at this stage. Respawn times are still there. 10 seconds on Luch. Rogue about to respawn. That's the first first Nexus turret to fall on down. Rima taking a lot of pain to the face. Not using the Archangels just yet. Holding on out. Does pop it eventually. Spooks so low. Spooks goes down. Rogue finding a vengeance as they hold on just a little bit longer.
Yeah, Roma is genuinely just so hard to kill and has got a lot of damage. You know, he is the place to look at, as that was the smallest of Teemos away from getting another kill potentially on Luch if that Ezreal ultimate had connected. Dangerous game to be in the first AD carry game of the OPL if you're the Bombers AD carry here. He's doing his best, but how good is your best against the enemy comp as a Varus?
You can see a different parallel between
Where they're going.
7-1 and 2-7, and they say it's time to fight. There's the GA, that's the full engage. They look to try and take out Jake, and here's a non-factor, deleted, gone. Nico finding absolutely no value with the ultimate right there, but this is what Bombers want. The fight goes chaotic, left, right, and center. They can find picks, they can hard engage. The poke ain't good if it's on one
Wrong
by
side of
one.
the map. Order are going to try and
But
end.
they want to try and backdoor this. They're going for it. They
In
have
their
cannons.
face.
They have the super minions working towards this one. This is falling on down, Rusty.
Can they stop Dream? They can't stop him. No, the game's over. Or to take the Nexus. That was wild.
Was that the grand play? We split our team up to make it look as if Bombers are in a commanding situation where they can isolate, they can find kills, they can hard engage, but they poke the bear being the core, the bear being the Nexus falling on down.
Well, you know that sooner or later, like, they have to engage, right? If you're Bombers, you're losing inhibitors, Baron's up, there's too many options now on the map, and a Baron would end the game, so they make the decision. You can't fault Bombers for trying to make that play. And Order, you would say in the moment as well, because, you know, they weren't expecting Bombers to go so far behind them that they just walked to the Nexus, but
No.
because Bombers did, they adapted on the fly, they made the call, and they're able to get to the Nexus, and it was really well done from them in the end, and so was the composition. The first pick of Lux, you're like, something's going on here.
That's one thing I want to highlight in particular. Do you feel we're in a situation where, okay, yes, there are new players on the side of Bombers, Luch coming in there, not having the strongest performance on day one, but we expected that. We knew there would be some growing pains. Would you go so far as saying that this game was almost lost from a draft perspective as to how Poke, in many cases, can outclass Hard Engage?
I don't think so, no. I would just say, and not entirely his fault, but it was a shocker from Luch. He was just completely comped into a rough position for him. So yes,
Yes,
being the
yes.
Varus, it's going to have a pretty hard time. But Bombers, I don't think they lost in draft by any means. I think that Order very clearly selected in their first 3 picks. This is what we're going to play like. This is how it's going to go.
Yep.
They execute it well. They play the game well, and I think it's more fair to say that Order won the game opposed to Bombers lost the game through good play of Order themselves.
Some good play indeed, and some good men in the building, sitting on couches, getting comfy, rubbing their hands. Nick Boy.
Ready to talk.
Are we?
Well, I am.
Oh, that's
I mean,
good.
we have been warming up.
Yep.
It's been difficult getting the words out at the beginning. We were talking about this earlier. Our job is to professionally talk, and we weren't doing a very good job off camera. But I think we're bringing our A game. Also bringing
That's professionalism.
basically their A game Order, an unconventional comp. But Bryce, they've been waiting for this rematch since the finals.
Yeah, absolutely. And you say A game, like very unconventional A game, super weird. Like all of these champions aren't the weirdest, but the fact that this is like first game of the split, grand finals rematch, they get a very strong looking victory, but this is like a very prepared style of game. Order, I was saying, like they're not a team that comes in and drafts where everybody's like trading power picks, and they don't really draft champions. They very much so like to draft a comp. Like Rusty just said, first pick Lux. It's an Ezreal, it's a Jace, it's a Nico. Xin is a frontliner, I guess, in this sort of situation. But like that was super weird. But they looked pretty clean and pretty rehearsed on it for the most part.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there were a couple of situations
Yeah.
where, discipline and things like that comes in, but they were running around with a 10,000 gold lead, so you
Yeah.
can understand the rush of bloods. But I just want to go back to how big a game this was for both teams. Because everyone that I've been speaking to has been saying, Orders run fluke throughout the gauntlet. You have one good weekend, doesn't mean all of a sudden you're a good League of Legends team. And I think there is a lot of validity to that statement because did finish the season on a bit of a shocker, like, just crept into the gauntlet. And I think Bombers, were a dominant team. We were ready to throw. If they had stayed the same roster, we would be using, the Chiefs analogy and the Direwolves analogy about that Bombers lineup. So both of these teams in game number 1 in the grand finals rematch, in my opinion, had probably the most to prove up there with Direwolves, right? On getting this season off to a good start. And I really agree with what Bryce is saying. Everyone views Order as like a comp team, but they just had their team fight comps. Like, okay, is this the Oriana one where Swiffer's playing control mage? Or is it the Galio one where Swiffer plays frontline and someone else gets to play engage? And, they kind of mix up their, like, team fight comps, but hadn't really shown any nuance or finesse. I call them, like, the sledgehammer comp or the mallet
You call
comps
them
or
that,
whatever. And I think, like, this is a different look and certainly something that has been prepared behind the scenes.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Bombers, I mean, Rusty kind of said it, and I do agree with him. Like they picked like a fairly standard sort of stuff. Rogue on his Thresh. You kind of expect like the veterans of this lineup to be getting comfortable champions. Luch coming in, rough game on the Varus, all of that sort of stuff. But you can, like, this is one of those weird games where you look at how draft unfolds in the game of League of Legends that like is eventually played. If you know that this is now a thing, which every other OPL team in the
Now
region
does,
does now, it's like, okay, if it's like Lux, Ezreal, and I forget the other third pick.
Jace.
No, it would have been Nico, I think, in the first
Nico,
3.
yeah.
It's like, yeah, this isn't just a Thresh and a Jarvan and a Varus. There are much more things you can pick into
Pick
this.
on.
And, yeah, you can go hardcore, like, off meta, but we have to be able to force. So I think it was a little bit of Bombers being caught off guard, bringing in a bunch of new members, and you kind of did expect a slower start. I think that's what we got.
And the impressive thing was that there were moments where the Bomber synergies were already quite good. That flag drag from Cataclysm into flag drag into Lantern immediately out from Wada took like 0 damage and CC 3 members was so nicely coordinated by him and Rogue.
And the tiniest thing is that Lantern is probably unclickable under 3 people, so it was premeditated.
Yep.
Right? It's like EQ ulti as Lantern is thrown, and good players, you click it once. If you spam click when people are standing on top of the land, you just auto-attack left, right, and center and look like a dumbass. But he gets Lanterned out, they get a kill out of almost nowhere, Jake dies, and it's like, oh, that's cool. This is signs of a promising team getting together.
Committed gank into the top lane when, everyone else, I think us in the room would have been like, he's out, Wilder burns his flash, burns flag and drag, gets Mimic back into his lane because he was just getting poked out. There were moments in this game where I was like, this Bombers lineup is still going to be a dangerous lineup because they did look very, very good in small plays.
And for Order, I mean, last split, there was some shakiness. There were, like, a big rough patch as well, which could have shaken the
They
mentality.
almost lost 7 in a row.
Yeah, like, there was a real, like, test of mentality for that team. And it could go 2 ways. It could either go very badly or they could let's, to use a Bryce expression, gird their loins and be ready for the next split. And that's what they've done. This is a comp that's incredibly hard to play. You need to trust each other as a team. And Dream has progressed so much. He was good when he came in last split. He's just gotten so much better. And I think we're really seeing something blossom.
Yeah, I mean, so a couple of things I will say, like, is that it didn't do good things or bad things. It kind of did both.
Yep.
Like, when you lose 7 games in a row, your team's kind of broken. Like, in all honesty, you have to sit there and you have to put stuff back together.
Guys,
And-
we suck.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's the first thing, right? Is you come into the split and everyone comes into the split and you want to win. And then you have that realization. We started 5-2, I think, last split. And then we went on a 7-game slide. And you do have that moment where it's like, we aren't as good as what we think we are. We need to adjust our play and play within ourselves. And I think that Aaron Choo Choo's did a fantastic job of bringing the team back together. And the one thing I will say is Choo Choo's is a fantastic bottom lane coach. For a mid laner, he makes bottom lanes way more cohesive. You know, we got FBI and Rogue last year. I think he made them into one of the best bottom lanes. They've continued their growth at Bombers. They're certainly better last split than they were with us. You know, that's probably why they won and we came fourth.
Red jerseys is just better than blue. Red.
Black.
That one.
Yeah, and then at the same time, you know, you have a look at now Jake and Dream, and I think that they played a really impressive game today on, you know, Ezreal luck, certainly something that you wouldn't expect. Like, credit to Choo Choo's, he puts in a lot of work with those guys.
Well, the way that Order played today, we may see them again in the grand final. And if we do, you can be there if you head to the Melbourne Esports Open. No pressure, Order. Just head to melbourneesportsopen.com.au to secure your tickets. It's going to be a huge event. We would love to see you there, and we will see you after this break.
With the mana, J4 goes to flag and drag. He's going to
Oh,
get
the
juked out.
Spooks is
Has the
6.
red buff. Can Swiffer do much around this one? They turn around. Spooks with 6. Spooks with red. They get a kill. Now can they find a second? Looking to try and collapse into this one. Dragon is available should they decide to try and switch to it afterwards. The damage is there. Spooks securing it, but the fight is not done. Still in bot lane.
Yeah, they're still looking towards Jake. He's just going to go down for certain here. Unless he doesn't, the shield's up, they're in. Base and actually, they're just going to teleport for this. Oh no.
Completely whiffs. It doesn't connect with anybody at all. Luxalt comes across, does damage members. Now they're going to juggle their aggro. Nico up into the air. Eat everything that they can. That's the flay, that's the box, that's the kill, that's Dream finding one. AD for AD right now as Ryoma finds us. He's coming in here to the top lane as it looks to be the Order looking to overextend himself. Dream in a situation that you really wish you weren't. Is it a nightmare? Get a Madman, that's a double kill. Can they find a third? When's that charge coming up online? He's looking for Swiffer. That's the flag and drag. The shutdown is there. That's 2. That's the Cataclysm. And they get the elusive
I think Dream kills them here if he doesn't get hit by a hook. Genuinely think he kills them.
He gets 1. He gets 2.
Oh, that Order are going to try and
They
end
want to try and backdoor this. They're going for it. They
in
have
their
cannons.
face.
They have the super minions working towards this one. This is falling on down, Rusty.
Can they stop Dream? They can't stop him, no, the game's...
At Macca's, our burgers are now hotter, juicier, and tastier. With onions added at the grill for more flavour, perfectly melted cheese, and softer buns. They're the best Macca's burgers ever.